Hello, I'm Julia Alexander, and of course, this is Be Informed. We are here with the 2026 election. I happen to be here with Don Jungle. Don Jungle is running for Will County Sheriff right here in the city of Joliet. And we're going to speak with Don, and we're going to find out his platform, find out what it is that he would like to bring to Will County. So let's talk to him. Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great, Julia. How are you?
Okay, thank you.
You for having me.
Thank you for doing the interview. It's so exciting. And this is your first run, is it?
This is my first run at running for sheriff.
Okay.
You know, it's been quite the journey thus far. You know,
Yeah.
I announced my candidacy about roughly about 3 years ago.
Okay.
When I stepped down from the Will Grundy Major Crimes Task Force. You know, because I wanted to focus on running for the office of sheriff. So.
Absolutely. And tell me, what is the most exhilarating part of this? Since it's your first run, you have to be experiencing all different types of emotions.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, the hardest part, I can tell you this, the absolute hardest part about running for, which I've come to find out running for a political office, is time management,
Yeah.
right? Management with family, with work life, because it is just so difficult, especially when you have, I have 2 teenagers,
Yeah.
right? And they keep me extremely busy with school, with sports,
Yeah.
extracurricular activities, everything. And family for me is the most important aspect of my life. And that's been the hardest part, you know, because you know, I'm working 40 hours a week at work, well, minimum of 40 hours a week.
Right.
But and then managing home life and then the campaign life. You know, that's been the most difficult part. But you know, I think it's going to be worth it in the long run.
Absolutely. Speaking of families, you're going to be dealing with a lot of families that's going to be destroyed, hurt, upset, angry, and all of that. How do you plan to manage that aspect of your job?
Sure. Well, you know, that is one of the most difficult parts of law enforcement, right? Because when people call us, they call us when it's their absolute worst day of their life, right? They don't call us to say hi and you know everything's fine. They call us because there's some sort of crisis in their life, and we're there to try to figure out the process, figure out how to help them the best. And what I've really come to embrace throughout my career, because I've been with the Will County Sheriff's Office going on 27 years. I started in the jail, and one of the first conversations that I had when I was training was a guy was telling me a story. Hey, you know what? You need to treat everyone with respect. You need to treat everyone as equals. Don't be one of these people that you know, abuses authority, that sort of thing. And he told me a story about how he you know, he's always coming up to the inmates and giving them high fives, talking to them on a personal level.
Right.
And he got into a foot chase one time, running through the projects in Joliet.
Okay.
Tackled a guy who had just beat up his grandmother, and you know, was wrestling with the guy, put him in handcuffs, and before you knew it, he said he was surrounded by 100 people, and there was one guy in the crowd that calmed the crowd down and said, "Hey, I know this guy. He's helped us out. He's been behind us when we've been locked up or when we've been in trouble. Let him do his job."
Absolutely.
And there were no issues. And that's how I've always lived my career.
These sheriffs.
Police-wise, we have 234 police officers
for
deputies
the
entire county.
Okay.
And then we have we're authorized for another 250 corrections officers in our jail. But we're about 30 short right now on our corrections side of staff, and then we have another 65, 70 court security officers. So we're not by population, but by employee-wise, we're the second largest sheriff's office in the state.
Oh, wow.
So we have roughly close to 700 employees.
Okay, so speaking of that, tell me a little bit, well, my listening audience, tell them a little bit about your responsibilities. What does the sheriff do?
Okay, so, and that's a really great question, because a lot of people don't really understand what the sheriff does, right? So statutorily, the sheriff's really for the most part in charge of two things:
Okay.
maintaining a jail, the security and safety of a jail,
Okay.
and maintaining security at a courthouse.
Okay.
Statutorily, those are the two, number
Yes.
one and two things that,
Yes.
that statutorily we have to do. But
Okay.
we do so much more.
Okay.
We patrol the unincorporated areas of Will County, so all the townships throughout the county. So if you live in Joliet Township and you're unincorporated, if you live in New Lenox Township unincorporated, Homer Township unincorporated, all of the townships we patrol and provide police service for. We also contract police service with the Village of Homer Glen in the Village of Diamond. With the Village of Diamond, it's a little different for us because we only do the Will County side of Diamond. The Grundy County Sheriff's Office does the Grundy County side of Diamond. Roughly, we patrol areas that about 120,000 people throughout the county. The villages, the cities, the towns have the rest of it. So there's a lot of overlapping, especially in the city of Joliet, because one side of the street might be unincorporated, but the other side of the street might be in the city of Joliet. So
Absolutely.
it all depends on where you live, and you just got to check your water bill to find out.
Absolutely, you're right about that. Check that water bill. I recently read of like some incidents that were happening in the Will County jail. And so what would you do to try to offset or prevent incidents from happening?
Sure. The safety and security of the inmates and the staff are our number one priority, always.
Okay.
That goes without saying. So there have been some incidents in the past. We recently had kind of a gang type of fight inside the jail where one group ganged up on another.
Okay.
That does happen, unfortunately, and we just have to hold people accountable for that.
Okay.
Within the jail, the jail system in Will County has been around for a long time,
Yes,
right?
it has.
We've gone through a couple different different jails throughout the few years, at least. And we have jail expansion since I've been on the department. So it's a very large facility. It's almost run like a small city would be run, or a small town. We have our own kitchen staff. We have our own laundry service. We have our own cleaning staff. We have our own craftsmen. So there's a lot of good work that's being done inside the jails by individuals that aren't even correction staff. But my priority will be to maintain to keep the security safe in the jail for both the inmates and staff, because we do honestly, our staff gets attacked.
Yes.
On I don't want to say on a regular basis, but too much. Too much, way too much. And I know there are there's talk of maybe other plans from other candidates where they want to bring some sort of trade into the jail to teach the inmates there on how to build engines and whatnot.
Okay.
That's not in the cards for me.
Okay.
And I'll be perfectly honest here, because you get with what happened recently with the Safety Act, when they passed the Safety Act, right? Only the most dangerous and violent offenders go in our jails now. There are no DUI arrests. There are no low-level drug arrests. There are no driving while license suspended arrests. It's just it's violent offenders.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is to hand over a hammer or a screwdriver to an inmate who's in there for murder, and for them to use that on another inmate or another staff. We have, since 1979, we've had the Center for Correctional Concerns in the jail, right? They do a lot of great work. They help inmates get their GED. They provide religious services. They provide arts and crafts. They do counseling. There's a lot of different things that in programs that our inmates are currently offered, which they're doing a phenomenal job there, and I don't want to stop any of that from happening. So some of the changes at the jail, what I would like to see, I would like to explore the opportunity of having our own medical staff in our jail. Because we use a contract service right now. We pay millions of dollars out to an organization to provide inmate medical care, whereas why can't we do that ourselves? Have our own nurses, have our own doctors, that that we have under the umbrella of the county to do that. That way, it's a little bit more cost effective, and we don't have to worry about these medical companies going out of business and filing for bankruptcy, because
Absolutely.
that's what's happened
Yeah.
in the last few years with some of these
Absolutely.
companies.
Do you guys have counselors?
We do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are in our jail we have various programs for alcohol,
Okay.
for drug addiction,
Okay.
and for just general
Yeah. Yeah.
mental health
Mental
counseling.
health. Okay. Now I do know that several years ago, Sherry Williams, I don't know if you know her,
Oh, yeah, very
and
well.
Pam Ford,
Yep.
they advocated to get voting
Yep, they sure did.
machines down there.
Yep.
So are those still?
Those are still going on
Okay.
right
Which
now,
I
actually.
think was really, really awesome
Yep,
for them
yep.
to have that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that process has already begun for this election cycle. So that group will be in the jail here, registering inmates to vote, and having them
Absolutely.
participate in the election
Absolutely.
process.
Because see, a lot of people don't understand that in certain states, if you have a felony, you cannot vote.
Correct.
That's not true for.
Well, most of the people we have in our jail aren't sentenced yet.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
why they're allowed to vote.
Okay.
There may be a couple of individuals in there that can't vote because they might be transferred in from Illinois Department of Corrections, that sort of thing. But for the most part, most individuals, and the last time I saw there was a count at the jail, there's roughly about 480 inmates in our jail. The majority of them will have an opportunity to vote if they elect to do so.
So, Dan, what differentiate you from your opponent?
Well, there's a lot of similarities when it comes to what some of the things we want to do, right? We both want mental health awareness for our staff. We both believe in transparency. Where I kind of dip off is, he wants to put the vocational program in the jail for like an engine building repair.
Right.
That's not something that I want to do because I think it would endanger the staff and endanger the inmates. I think 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that would have been a great idea. But I think with the Safety Act, with the things that the Safety Act has done, it has only put individuals in our jail that have been proven to be violent, and I just don't want to provide them with that sort of with those kind of tools. Yeah. Our career paths have been different, right? I have risen through the ranks. I started my career 27 years ago in the jail. Went to patrol, became a detective, became a sergeant, became a lieutenant, a deputy chief, and now I'm the current undersheriff. So I've seen and dealt with a lot of other things than he has. I've been in meetings with the state's attorney's office. I've written press releases. I've written social media posts that never got sent because I was told by an attorney, you can't put that out there because we're going to get sued over this, which I disagree with. Like, I fully support transparency within the sheriff's office. Matter of fact, my number one policy, day one I take office, I will make it a policy to release all body-worn cameras for officer-involved shootings and critical incidents.
Yeah.
Because we have to have the public's trust in order to do our job. If we don't have the public's trust and something bad happens, the public's not going to come to us and provide us with information as to who done, who committed this crime and who did that.
Okay, you talked about you want the public to trust you and to believe in you.
Sure.
Given our current situation with ICE, how do you think that affect you all as officers? Which there's two separate entities, I understand that.
Sure.
Yeah, but it does have an effect
Oh,
on
absolutely.
you all.
It
What
absolutely
type
does.
of effect do you think that has on you all?
Well, I think I'm not going to be one of those people that say I want to abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Okay? They've been around for quite a long time. You can take their history all the way back to the Revolutionary War with customs, right? But what's happening right now and what ICE is doing is not right. Their tactics are not right.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the masks.
Okay.
I don't wear a mask. None of our officers wear masks. The only time you should be wearing a mask is if it's sub-zero temperatures, or the only other case would be if it's an undercover officer doing a search warrant.
Okay.
Because they have to protect their identity, so they don't give up
I
their
understand that.
source.
Yes.
But what's going on right now, I believe, is setting back law enforcement by about a decade, because I've seen it firsthand where guys, are ICE is pulling people over, no probable cause, they're racial profiling. I see this image of, you saw it on the news in Chicago. It was some sort of preacher or priest or somebody who had his arms up, and he's looking up at the ICE people, talking to them, and he gets shot in the head, right, with a pepper ball. That's not that's excessive use of force.
Okay.
That's an aggravated battery. That's a civil rights violation. There's no excuse for that. And as sheriff, you can't stand for that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, ICE are peace officers, right? So they're governed by use of force. They're governed by state law. They're governed by federal law. They're governed by court rulings, right? And a lot of that is just, I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
And
So
I'm not a fan.
You said peace officer. So they're here to keep the peace.
And that's not what's happening.
But it does have an overall effect on the county police and the city police, and it really it does.
You didn't see this two years ago, right?
No, right.
There's I'm just going to say there's a correlation here, right?
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We need the public's trust because
Absolutely.
we can't do our job without their help, and I think that's one of the very first steps that we need to do in order to do that, because other people are thinking about other things other than the public and transparency. They're thinking money. They're thinking, oh, this is going to be a lawsuit. Chances are, if there's an officer-involved shooting, we're going to get sued no matter what.
Yeah.
So let's just get out the narrative,
Yeah.
and let's get out what happened, and not let people make up stories or create their own narrative instead. Because we've seen it happen in the past, and I don't want to go down that road again.
Are you married? Do you have children?
I
What's
do.
going
Yeah.
on
No.
with
You know what? I've been married for 17 years, right?
17 years.
I have two kids, both teenagers.
Okay.
My daughter is going to be driving here very soon, so I'm going to get a little bit grayer, and probably my hair is going to be falling out a little bit more because I'm going to be worrying so much. But that's life as a parent, right?
That's life as a parent. If you were to get that position, what would you want to be off and running on day one?
Day one would be the transparency, would be to
Okay.
change that policy.
Okay.
Because I don't want to take advice from an attorney
Okay.
because they're worried about the bottom line.
Okay.
I want to put that information out as quickly as possible,
Okay.
just so we can, good, bad, or indifferent. If it doesn't look like it's and I don't want to call it a good shooting or a bad shooting, because there's no such thing as
Right.
such, right? It's going to be a tragic event no matter what. But I want to put that information so everyone has the information at their fingertips, so they can make their own judgment. Because I would rather people see something and make their own judgment than hear something on Facebook or hear something in the news that they haven't even seen yet.
Absolutely.
That would be day one. The other thing is I've already kind of started the process of developing a mental wellness program for our deputies. The minute I became undersheriff, I sent out an email to our department staff and said, hey, who's interested in being in a peer support group? And I got an overwhelming response from our staff, which was great. And that's one thing that I really want to focus on, because when you're in an agency the size that we are, you're going to see anywhere from 250 to 300 different critical incidents throughout your career, right? Most people in their lifetime will only see two, which would be, like the equivalent of a bad car wreck or something like that. We deal with it every day, and I didn't really think about the mental health aspect of things until much later in my career, because I had a good support system, right? My best friend he's a Joliet cop,
Okay.
and when we got hired just about the same time. We went to 2 different police academies, right?
Okay.
And anytime I had a bad day, I'd give him a call just to vent, to talk it over. Whenever he has a bad day,
Yeah.
he calls me, vent, and we work through it together. And that's the relationship we've had for the last, almost
That's awesome.
going on 27 years. But there are guys on our departments that don't have that benefit, right? And I want to help. I want to help out as best I can because, I don't want people turning to drugs. I don't want people turning to alcohol. I don't want there to be that angry police officer presence because you're stressed out at your job. I want people to take care of themselves, both mentally and physically, so you can be the best officer that you can be. Because to me that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Because the only person that hates a bad cop is a good cop, right?
That's right.
And that's how I've always kind of worked my career.
Absolutely, I think that's amazing. So it's been amazing talking with you and listening to what you would like to do once you obtain a seat. And look into that camera at this point and tell the listening audience to vote for you.
Yeah, now come March 17th, vote for Dan Jungles, vote for proven leadership at the Will County Sheriff's Office. You can follow me on Facebook. You can look me up on my website, which is junglesforsheriff.com. I've been endorsed by numerous politicians, including Jesse White, including the Jennifer Patino Tarrant, state reps, state senators. I've got over 15, or actually I think 20 different endorsements now from different individuals or organizations, which are all on my website. And look forward to being your next Will County Sheriff.
And what is that website?
It's Jungles for Sheriff, which is JUNGLES, and then the word for FOR, Sheriff, SHERIFF.com.
Okay. What is your platform? What are you running on?
Well, I'm running on integrity,
Okay.
transparency, investment in technology, and fiscal responsibility.
Okay.
Those are and the mental health aspect of things, which we've already talked about.
Okay.
But those are my kind of my 5 pillars.
Okay. Good.
I'm as far as transparency, we need to get the public side right, and we've talked about that a little bit. But I am aggressive when it comes to grant funding. I'm aggressive when it comes to saving taxpayer dollars because there's a lot of money on the table that a lot of people don't know about, whether it be through grants, through other state or federal programs. We've been very successful the last few years in getting grant funding. I've written a couple grants already this year, submitted them. I'm still waiting to hear back. I should know in about mid-March whether or not I get them or not, but it's about that's $2.2 million in grant funding, which I'm hoping to be awarded to the department so we can help pay for body cameras and pay for squad cameras and pay for training and a mental health program for the sheriff's office. Because we live in Illinois, right?
Yes.
High taxes in Illinois.
Yes.
And I want to try to save a buck whenever possible.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to go to the county board and ask for more money. I want to try to make my money myself through grant funding. There are a lot of grant opportunities for law enforcement that people in law enforcement, they just, sometimes they don't apply because they think it's too much work. They think it's too hard to get these grants. And it is, but you know what, at the end of the day, it's worth it because you may get awarded a $2 million in grant funding to help pay for a program, to help pay for equipment, to help pay for personnel, which only benefits the entire county. Not just the sheriff's office, but the entire county, because some of these programs that we're doing go far beyond our reaches. One of the programs that we got a grant for was a deflection program, right? So when inmates get released from the jail, if they need to find a job, if they need, haircut, if they need a haircut, and they can't afford one, we'll get them a haircut. We'll get them clothing. We'll get them, we'll get them transportation to an interview. So those are programs that we started here in the sheriff's office under my leadership that you know, I want to continue to do, not just in one section of the sheriff's office, but the entire
Yeah,
Will County Sheriff's
yeah,
Office.
those are awesome programs.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, that assistance.
Oh, yeah, no, so if
Yeah.
anyone needs any assistance, you know, if you know anyone that's been incarcerated,
Mhm.
or it needs any sort of counseling,
Mhm.
we will offer that. We will provide resources,
Wow.
you know, to individuals throughout the county for that.
Okay, okay.
One of the other things, you know, I talked about the mental health aspect
Yeah.
of things,
Yeah.
but one of the things I'm most proud of in being the deputy chief of special operations when I had that position, our homicide rate.
Okay.
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 For years, our homicide rate, you know, solvability hovered anywhere from 55 to 60%, you know, solved.
Mhm, mhm.
The national average is about 46%.
Okay.
But in recent years, we've really shot that number up. So we're about 88% solvability rate on our homicides, and that's because
Really?
of
That's
the
high.
technology.
Yeah. Okay.
And because what we need to do is we need to continue to invest in technology,
Okay.
because technology is what's solving crimes right now.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it could be the DNA analysis,
Mhm.
it could be license plate readers,
Mhm.
it could be security cameras.
Okay.
You know, there's so many different things that technology is involved in. I mean,
Okay.
look at your phone now,
Yeah.
right? It's
Mhm, mhm,
that back.
mhm.
There's more technology in an iPhone now than there was
Right.
in a computer that took up the size of a
Absolutely,
room, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's progress. you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that
Yeah.
I want to continue to build on is
Mhm.
making sure that, you know, safety
Yeah.
in our communities is a right.
Mhm.
Everyone needs to feel safe,
Okay.
and anyone can be a victim, right?
Right.
I've been a victim to crimes, you know.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm sure you've
Yeah.
experienced something in the past.
Absolutely.
You know,
Mhm, mhm.
everyone can be a victim, whether
Yeah.
it be a financial crime, whether it be, you know, someone sent you
Yeah.
hate mail or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
We need to be safe. We need to feel secure. We need to feel like in our home
Mhm.
there's nothing to worry about, and that's our
Absolutely.
job. You know, is
Absolutely.
to ensure that.
Absolutely. I have one more question. I'm okay. Say I'm coming to the adult detention facility
Mhm.
and I want to visit someone. What are my time rate? I mean, am I in and out, or what's the process? How long will it take me? What type of paperwork do I have
Oh,
to
you mean
go through?
like if you're visiting,
If
or
I'm
if you're
visiting.
incarcerated?
No, if I'm visiting, no incarceration.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
The funny thing is
Yeah.
with visits now, they're all done on an iPad.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you can still go to the visitation center
Yes.
at our which is right across the street from our jail.
Yes.
But for the most part, you can just go on an iPad and visit with an inmate who's, you know, because they have their
Really?
iPads. Yeah.
That's
The only time
different.
they don't have access to their iPads
Yeah.
all the time, but
Yeah.
for the most part, when they're out on their timeout,
Yeah.
they'll have access and they can utilize that all day.
Well, you guys hear that? I mean, that's convenient.
Yeah,
That's
and
very
that's
convenient.
again, that's
Yeah.
technology.
That's technology.
They, you know, they do
Yeah.
texting on
Yeah.
their iPads now. They,
Okay.
you know, because before, anytime they would have to get any kind of correspondence, it all have to be mailed
Uh-huh.
in, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now you just send an email, you send a text, because everything's on an app
Okay.
these days.
Okay, just goes to show I haven't been around in a while. No, but that's awesome because it cuts down a lot of time.
Yeah,
It's a comfort zone for you because if I'm visiting, I'm at home. I'm comfortable.
sure.
I'm not standing in line waiting or this. Or
Yeah,
that.
and you don't
So,
have to, you know,
Right.
you don't have to go out in the snow
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
worry about, you know,
Mhm.
if you're going to get there in time or rush through traffic.
So what's
or
the
anything.
process of that? How does that happen?
When you know when they first come in,
Mhm.
they get classified through whatever area they're going to be
Mhm.
assigned,
Mhm.
and they'll be assigned a tablet at
Oh.
some point, and they'll set up visitation lists.
Okay.
They'll set up
Okay.
you know their commissary list. So
Okay.
you know you can just send money electronically now
Wow,
to the inmates.
okay.
So
All right. Wow. You all hear that? That's different.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
different.
it's a little bit different. You don't have to
Yeah.
come in with paper anymore,
Absolutely,
or
absolutely.
you know paper money, and
Yeah.
you know, and you don't
So-
have to worry about bonding people out or in and out now,
Right.
because you know we're a no cash bail state. So For the most part, visitors at the jail is pretty much to a minimum.
Okay, okay, when you say a no cash bail, explain that to me.
Well, with the Safety Act, one of the things that occurred with the Safety Act is they got rid of cash bail to
Okay,
make things equal and even across the board. So if I go out and murder somebody, but I have a lot of money, I can bail out. But if you go out and murder somebody and you don't have any money, you're stuck in jail. We both did the same crime
okay,
and the exact same thing. How is that fair? And it's not.
right,
You shouldn't penalize people for being
Poor.
being poor. And that's why that's one of the reasons why we have the no cash bail. So
okay,
so now they have to have a detention hearing. There are only detainable offenses now that are being put into the jail. So now they'll go in front of a judge and he'll determine, along with the prosecutors, whether or not you're a danger to the public if you're a violent offender. Because if you're a violent offender and you're a danger to the public, you're going to stay in jail. But if you're not, if you say you got arrested for DUI or if you got arrested for check fraud or whatever the case may be, you're not necessarily a
Non-violent.
danger. Yeah, you didn't murder somebody. You didn't commit a sexual assault. You didn't rob somebody at gunpoint. So they are they're allowing those individuals out instead of posting cash bail.
okay,
Now though, if you do get released, in most cases, and this is another part of the Safety Act which people don't talk enough about,
okay,
you get an ankle monitor, right?
okay,
So we know where you're at. So if you are, if you're out committing crimes, we'll know exactly where you're at, and that'll be used against you later.
Absolutely.
So before, if you murdered somebody and you bonded out on the offense, no one knew where you were. No one knew what you were doing.
right,
But at least now we know because you're wearing an ankle monitor.
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
that's a benefit to law enforcement.
Yeah, I think with the advancement of the technology that processes things quickly and like you say, more transparent,
Yeah.
because that helps to be more transparent
Yeah.
with everything. And I like that no bond, because everyone's equal
Yeah,
when it comes to crime.
Correct.
You
Correct.
know.
We should
Yeah.
not treat anyone differently
Absolutely.
based
Now when it
on
comes
their
to crime.
economic status. And that's one of the reasons why
Yeah.
that law was created.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So you've been hitting the ground running, and where have you been? Oh, Will County is big.
It is
Have
super
you?
big.
Where have you been?
Everywhere.
All over,
North,
right?
south, east,
Right.
west, and everywhere in between.
Okay, so tell me about the reception that you're getting. Are you knocking on
Yep,
doors?
absolutely.
Tell me about that reception for your first time.
Yeah,
out.
well, you know what? It's not my first time knocking on doors. So
Okay.
I've actually,
Okay.
the last couple sheriff's elections, I've been doing it.
Okay,
So,
okay, all right.
so I am familiar with it,
Okay,
and I
okay.
have done it. So,
Okay,
everyone's been super receptive,
okay,
right?
all right.
As a matter of fact, over the weekend, when knocking on some doors in Romeoville,
Okay.
and heard people, oh, I already voted for you. So,
No kidding.
it's
Wow.
that's for me. That's always a good thing to hear.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, it's been a great experience.
Yeah.
It's been a long road, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. And,
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah,
And-
we're less than 30 days away.
And I know you're going to turn that light on, so I'm not even concerned about you. Once again, it has been a pleasure talking to Mr. Jungle. And get out and vote.
Absolutely.
What's that date again?
March 17th is Election Day.
March 17th. If you don't want to wait until March 17th, you can go down to Will County right now and vote for Mr. Jungle.
First and foremost, I want to thank Julia for the interview today, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my family. Obviously, my wife Jenny, who's been by my side this entire time, my supporters, my committee team, my campaign team, who've been with me through since the very beginning. I couldn't do the work without them. I couldn't do the work without labor. I couldn't do the work without all my different endorsements, all the different organizations that have come out to help me throughout these, especially these last few weeks. I really appreciate your support and help. And thank you again to all people in the county for supporting me.